Friends from Tobago, Christmas they reaching Fat Meadow with a box beats and a quattro, a violin and a banjo. They say they always had a plan to give me family a parang. They wake up my mommy right away when they ring out with the flower. My Jeffrey, oh, get up. Hey, like you are here, the neighbor cock crowing, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh. Kitchen, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, wake up. I hope you know it's white oak a drinking, oh girl. Madam Jeffrey, oh, get up. Yeah.
And yo, we'll never make a deal later. Christmas morning, everybody busy doing something. Who were painting, they scrubbing. Who were scrubbing, they cooking. Sister hanging up the curtains, a salt and boiling in the yard. Rasta grab up the hot picture in a ham and dash up like him man. Hey, hey, ay, 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 oh, Christmas, a time to be loving. Hey, ay, 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 oh, Christmas, a time to be giving. Hey, ay, 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 oh, Christmas, a time to be sharing. Oh Lord, I'm feeling too fat. Neighbor, 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 come and party and fat. Neighbor, 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 bring me children and fat. Neighbor, 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 neighbor. Next thing you know, hot sun shining. The day start off with a bang. I hear Marac and Quattro strumming. Gomez and Pedro come to Parang. They sang the Annunciation, followed by an Aguinaldo. But they lick up 2 bottles of rum and a pot of coffee before they go. Hey, hey, ay, 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 yo, Christmas, a time to be loving. Hey, ay, 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 yo, Christmas, a time to be giving. Hey, ay, 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 yo, Christmas, a time to be sharing. Hey, ay, 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 yo, oh Lord, I'm feeling too fat. Neighbor, neighbor, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yes, I feel too fat. Neighbor, neighbor, ay, 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 fat. Neighbor, neighbor, oh, yeah. Neighbor, 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 neighbor.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum. Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Muma, Muma, would you like to join your sonny? I am over here, happy in the mother country, darling, for the Christmas. Your son would be really jumping. Listen to the chorus of what we all will be singing.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
It's Christmas morning.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Mama, drink it, you drink it.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Let we fed him, we fed him.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Again, Muma, I have invited Jamaica, lovely Grenada, Barbados, also Guyana. It's an invitation for a stupendous occasion. You can just imagine, we drink until New Year's morning.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
It's Christmas morning.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Do drink if you're drinking.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
Mama, sing if you're singing.
Drink a rum and a punch and cream and drink a rum.
I see her
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the world wide web, a pleasant good night to you. Yes, this is, of course, the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation, but don't forget, of course, we try to lighten it up, but I can't help it. It is Christmas time in Trinidad and Tobago. We have a very definite and well-established and well-ensconced, of course, culture, and that, of course, will not. It's so infectious that Sunday night may well be, of course, one where we have to celebrate, in part, of course, because we'll continue, of course, to display that tolerance of course, being a little more sedated. But that being as it may, we have some serious issues, nonetheless, that we have to discuss. And therefore, I thought it was important, of course, to begin as normal with our cultural expression, and that is to say, sweet, sweet, sweet parang music. Yes, indeed. Enjoy. It appears that we have a caller already, so I mean, I cannot help but, of course, conform to what is established. Pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, to the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation. Pleasant good night. It appears that we have lost that one. All right. It appears, yes, we have lost it. We have lost that one already. Of course, but the number to call, of course, is 337-6940, 337-6940. But let's get back, of course, to the sweet parang music in the interim.
Darling, who you looking for? Alexander, with two suitcases and she tell me she must find this man. Alexander, every Christmas she does come down. Me sweet man I lick from town. She wanted to surprise him, so she didn't call. She went searching all about, but can't find a lick at all. She tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do it all, a lick. A lick makes me happy, a lick drives me crazy. A lick for my Christmas, a lick is so gorgeous. Yeah, she tell me I want. But can't find a lick at all. She tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do it all, a lick. A lick makes me happy, a lick drives me crazy. A lick for my Christmas, a lick is so gorgeous. Yeah, she tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do it all, a lick. Bring down ham and turkey and a checking post. She tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do without a lick. A lick makes me shiver, a lick is me lover, a lick is me tonic. It don't make me get sick. Oh, she tell me I want a lick, I want a lick, I want a lick. I can't do without a lick.
Yes, indeed, of course. So once again, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. It is, of course, the Sunday night edition of the Corridor Transformation. I thought, of course, important, of course, to give it a minute spice up with respect, of course, to sweet Parang cultural music. Yes, indeed, of course. Don't forget the people, I will be in the background. I will not be in front of the camera because we have to iron out, of course, this camera problem. I want to thank once again, of course, Miss Arima for, of course, her advice or her recommendation that, of course, that created, of course, a program tonight and last night as well. Let's go straight, of course, to the just a minute. Boy, sorry about that. Call back. I'm enjoying myself here tonight. That, of course, that's created, of course, a little tardiness in terms of my response to the telephone. But, of course, that is how it is, and that is how the cookie crumbles. But we have some serious matters that we need to talk about. Of course, I will, of course, look at the whole question of the Rowley administration in terms of its floundering and disappointment and, of course, destruction and inability to address the problem of crime and criminality. We will look at that because they themselves, if they are poor exemplars, a poor representation of what young people should follow, and therefore we are talking here in the context of role models and, of course, leadership. And Rowley and they have provided poor leadership. And so we have a situation where it's not just a standoff, but is a state of affairs that will threaten Trinidad and Tobago. And probably tonight, I will also, of course, deal with the foray of Chris, what's his name? Chris List. Christmas List, M-U-S-T-L-I-S-T, Christmas List, in where? In Haiti. And he has been, of course, talking to none other than barbecue. Yes, people, barbecue. But in Trinidad and Tobago, these nincompoops have, of course, created a situation for Trinidad and Tobago that continues, of course, to embarrass us on the regional and international stage because they have the man in court for so-called sedition. So-called, I say, because it can't stand up. It is much like, of course, many of the male in who pretended to have their virility intact, and then they talk about honey, goatweed, etc., but rely, of course, on their position in order to, of course, attract the opposite species, or put another word, and another way, the opposite gender. I say no more, except, of course, it is despicable, it is high-handed, it is exploitative, and therefore our young people, particularly again in the area of Laventille and environs, East Port of Spain, of course, in the constituency of Port of Spain South, and then, of course, right up the East-West corridor. I think it is appropriate for those who are new to let you know that our focus here is from Chagaramas in the west to, of course, Toko in the east. So that comprises, and all the areas in between along the northern range and on the hinterland and on the mountainsides of the northern range. Our focus are these people who, of course, have not only put down their buckets there, but have dominated, of course, for many decades the occupation of these communities, with a few exceptions, of course, and therefore the PNM has recognized that and have, of course, gerrymander the constituencies in order to get an unfair advantage. A very long time, even, of course, with Eric Willem around, and even though at this point in time, the EBC ought to be considering more of how they can increase the number of districts, or should I say parliamentary districts in Central and South Trinidad. They continue, of course, to be mired in an attempt to try to give the PNM an unfair advantage along the East-West corridor, as the PNM has, of course, dominated over the years. And see, of course, these constituencies that they would have dominated, including, of course, the Laventilles, of course, the Diego Martins, as they're not only stomping ground, but as, of course, their voter bank. And we say on the corridor transformation, the transformation is here. We must demonstrate a paradigm shift that says, if you are iniquitous, if you are evil, if you are diabolical, if you are not responsive, of course, to the needs of the people, having regard, of course, to the resources put at your disposal, not on your own volition, or you can't work for it, you only can't work for what you're getting. And, of course, he would claim now that, of course, the Salary Review Commission has, of course, increased their salaries. He is saying, out of some kind of amorphous and maybe in some kind of cognitive, what I consider to be quagmire, or in some kind of intellectual vice grip, to believe that somehow the people are going to take the hogwash that he's speaking and then say that it is not him, is, of course, the SRC. The SRC would have done their work, I agree, but the fact of the matter is, it is you who have the majority in the parliament to say yea or nay. And it is despicable, it is wicked, it is dangerous, it is exploitative, it is toxic, it is, of course, a case of a total and absolute greediness. That level of gourmandization of the resources and attacking and pillaging the treasury of the country must not be countenanced at all, because we are satisfied, and you must also be satisfied based on the information that you have before you, that, of course, the PNM has, of course, been the most corrupt entity over the last 9 years, and then have the audacity, the temerity, the gall, because, of course, of the legality surrounding, of course, the work and the report of the Salaries Review Commission, to, of course, say that they're going to take it because they said so. They said so, so they're going to take it. That level of greediness, that level of avarice, it cannot be and must not be countenanced, because you have gotten so much. And don't tell me all you don't understand what I'm saying, because you have to look at Balize House and ask the question, obviously, that how come Rowley said in no uncertain terms that he inherited a bankrupt PNM of over $5 million, and yet still you are now, within the last 9 years, constructing a monstrosity of steel, brick, cement, mortar, called Balize House, and you want us not to surmise or not to make a nexus between being in office. In other words, if the PNM was in opposition, they never break down the first original building and refurbish that, and then, of course, construct another multi-story monstrosity on the car park that was on the western side of the original building. No way, nobody with a modicum of common sense, a potpourri of understanding what was told to us, and we had no reason to disbelieve that here it is, the PNM was, of course, bankrupt. You know what bankruptcy means? They had no damn money. It just as so that they claimed, right? But in this case, of course, it was false, and it was another figment of Dr. Rowley's pernicious and evil imagination when he said that OAS, the company that was deployed originally by the PNM itself under Manning, and of course continued to work on, or should I say, be deployed by the coming into office UNC under Kamala Persad-Bissessar in 2010 for the construction of the largest project in this country. I'm talking about, of course, the highway to Point Fortin. And then he, Rowley, in an attempt, of course, to manifest the figment of his imagination, he then told us that, listen, that company was bankrupt, and so that automatically meant that he could frustrate the company from not working, from terminating, of course, in effect, their contract. And when, of course, it has, as usual, backfired on him, that is to say, went and get, of course, the upfront money, the guaranteed money that OAS put up in order to, of course, secure the contract under the UNC. And, of course, I say very good UNC. You protected the interests of the people. But here it is, Rowley want to play smart with foolishness, and of course it turns out to be always difficult and against the interests of the taxpayers of this country. He went and he boasted, of course, that Stuart Young, his, of course, sidekick, and of course some call him Small Pin, I call him a moron, but nonetheless, here it is. He went all over the world, according to Rowley, got the upfront money, got the guaranteed that the OS put up in order, of course, the bond they call it, in order to, of course, secure the contract. And here it is. After several years, the government, now we, the taxpayers, have to now pay back that money. And I am certain that too requires another investigation. And on top of that, Rowley has the audacity to take his friend, Justice Ventor, and don't tell me or they don't understand that the man is a judge, or was a judge, a retired judge, and Rowley put in there, and therefore his integrity is not blemish, or put another way, it is unblemished. No. You see, that is the same man who, when Rowley presented those false or fake, we know now without fear of contradiction, those false pieces of paper in the parliament, claiming that Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC were engaged, among other things, to, of course, kill a journalist. It was Ventor, who was the vice chairman of the Integrity Commission at the time, that looked at it. And remember, it was Rowley who didn't want the police to investigate it. He was the friend of course, the Integrity Commission at that point in time. And on other times when, of course, he is under scrutiny, he then criticized, of course, the very same Integrity Commission that he insisted looked at those pieces of paper that turned out to be fake and, of course, false, and a creation of his own figment of his own imagination, and a concoction, no doubt, with his hands or his typewriter, it doesn't matter, or his computer, or cause it to be produced, that turned out to be fake, according, of course, to the Commissioner of Police, now, of course, a political leader of the NTA, that, of course, said in non-certain terms that it was fake, it was something that somebody typed up, and that is what this man, Rowley, brought to the parliament. He was so greedy for power. So now we are seeing he is greedy. He has been greedy for power. He is greedy to stay in power. And now, of course, we are seeing as well, he is greedy for money that may be legitimate, even though, of course, they are extremely corrupt. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night to the honorable doctor. How are you, my brother?
I'm fine. I'm working behind the cameras tonight as last night, but...
I see that.
Yes.
Will I see the black slave master again?
Tell me.
This fool can run the country, but you're going to talk to CARICOM about crime and all kind of things. You can't control crime in your own country.
Yes.
It's already had to be done by.
Yeah, it's pathetic.
You see, the thing that affect me here in Trinidad is that these donkey and then we have in these trade unions and they know the stand up. And the workers are in the blame too. This man taking 40-something% increase in his salary, but he giving you 2 and giving you 4. $2 them see people on them. That is why they had to be like that. Right? They had to be like that. Because when you look at it, let me tell you something. When I say working in the refinery,
Right.
I work with contractor. I didn't work with the company.
Okay.
But as them boss and them started to stupid, I take up my bag and I walk out.
Right.
Because I will be I negotiate with my salary and the men's salary.
Right.
And if you can't pay that, then it's true because we know you're going to be in problem.
Right.
You can't get a screw like that.
Yeah, you can't get your work done, everybody lost. Yes.
Every worker in this country is supposed to be started up. Shut down the country for a day or 2. Let me see how they can handle it. You know,
Yes.
they go want to build they go and give police special thing to want to mash you up and organize.
Oh yes. That is typical of them. They are not. That is not beyond them. But we have tested it under, of course, the pushback movement, and we saw it. Yes. Go ahead. Yes. Yes.
Innocent people get areas. Right? Innocent people on the road. But you see, this fella want these people and they want you to cannot run the country. And you're ignorant with it. Oh God. Now remember the first time I called I talk about illiteracy and ignorance.
Yes, my friend.
No. I just laugh at people sometimes. I don't want to say, go to laugh at yourself before you laugh at others.
I hear you.
I talk to 2 people now by me here in Barbara.
Uh-huh.
One living in Point of View West. No, East. She want to go down in the West and vote.
Right.
One time he stopped by papers. I said, well, the truth hitting your heart now, what? He said, boy, they are writing nothing good.
Hold on, Mr. Santa Cruz. We have a caller on the line.
Mr. Santa Cruz, give me a few seconds.
Yes, go ahead.
I say, well, fella, I said, boy, here we're going on with you. Right now, your mother-in-law and brother-in-law, they must be turning off. Anyhow, let me give Mr. Santa Cruz the chance.
All right, okay then. Thank you very much, of course. Of course, welcome to our external correspondents. Again, tonight I have to be behind the camera, but of course we have a program and we have a job to do, and we will damn well do it, Miss Santa Cruz. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox. Good night to you
yes.
and to everybody on the chat. Lennox, I want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
How come nobody knows who is on the board of the Salary Review Commission? Is that a secret? Why is that we can't get that information? We have to go through freedom of information to find out that.
And we will damn well do. I am putting a series of freedom of information requests to several institutions, the Ministry of Finance. I don't know who would have been responsible for that particular team, because it's supposed to be independent, so to say. So I will try I'll try the person who is concerned to be head of the public service, the PS at the Prime Minister's office, and see whether or not that can happen. But as soon as tomorrow, all of these are going out, and of course tomorrow night I will report to the nation, and of course to the international community and regional, as to what has been done in that regard.
Because we really like to find out, Lennox.
Yes, of course we must.
Because something is not sitting right. Yeah, we must find out.
Yeah.
No,
you see, because
Lennox,
just to put a pin there, because I see it as a pattern of this man, this Prime Minister, and his what I consider to be a very evil and sinister, always intended to have an unfair advantage and to detriment Trinidad and Tobago. And I was just talking about Vento and the fact that he was his friend when, of course, he knew and he was focusing on the Integrity Commission, looking at those emails, and when it did not serve their purpose, Vento came out and said, listen, they should go further and look at the the contents. The emails are false, but the contents are going to be truthful. And here it is. Vento is now, of course, I think it's a one-man commission for commission of inquiry into, of course, lands acquired for the highway to Point Fortin under the UNC administration. Hold the tail. Go ahead, my friend. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right, Lennox. That's all right, because you brought up an interesting point.
Yes.
Because Vento, according to Dr. Monilal, I come with facts.
Yes.
You understand? I don't come with lies, half-truth, and innuendos.
Yes, indeed.
Dr. Monilal said that Vento has already been paid $11 million and not a page we can see what it is went on.
That's right. I didn't go
Not
there,
a
but
single
thank you for, of course, reminding me and for putting some more beef or more flesh on that despicable scenario.
And Lennox, the thing is, he sounded just as stupid as Faris. The emails are fake, but the contents are real.
Yeah.
How the hell it could be real?
So today he is being rewarded
How the hell it could be
for
real?
nonsense. Yeah, we.
And you see, Lennox, yeah.
You go ahead, yes.
I don't know how that could be real. If something is fake, just like the EBC, right? The verdict was legal, but the act was illegal.
Yeah. And EBC telling me that they are not prepared, of course, to give me back my money. But I ain't stopping there for, of course, because I didn't know that there was an extension. The court said that it was illegal. How you could quote that section of the rules with respect to non-refunding, when in fact this is a unique situation where the court said that you infringe.
It was illegal.
You infringe, yes, the time frame within which the election ought to have been conducted by you, the EBC.
But this is exactly, Lennox, I can't understand what's going on in this place, And Lennox, I want to address something here tonight.
Go ahead.
I sent you some correspondence, right?
All right.
Why it is that we don't want to put up, we are not putting up with PNM lies, they have to the propaganda and the innuendos, right? Why it is that we must put up with it with word of our own? Lennox, you see me? I always believe in one for all and all for one.
That's right.
Right? And when one of ours, you're right, and when one of ours is being attacked, right? I've tried to find the right word, maybe come up with a word for me. Right? When one of us, our own, is being attacked, I am not going to sit down and take it. I'm telling you in front, Lennox.
Yes.
Right? There's a lot of, and I sent some correspondence for you tonight.
Okay.
There's a lot of propaganda going around about Mikey. I don't like it, and tonight I'm going to address it.
Okay.
Right? Why it is? Because Mikey has not shown up on the program for a couple of days. There's this lie, half-truth, innuendo, and propaganda that Mikey has sold out to the PNM. And P-brains and them, we have a lot of P-brains. Oh, it's true. I have proof. I have this, I have that. Right? Now, there is a caller that calls on the program. He always make joke with Mikey. We know it's joke he making with Mikey. The way he speaks and whatever, right? Yeah. He said Mikey is not coming on the program because Mikey like Shamfer. And if he go on Tobago to meet Shamfer.
Right.
Now the P-brain and them pick that up and run with it. That Mikey sell out and he went to meet Shamfer in Tobago. Right? No, you have to laugh, Lennox. You really have to laugh.
Because I am privy, so I'm in an authorized position to laugh.
Yeah, we are. But you know what happened, Lennox? I find it is aggravated now because it is not true, right? And the correspondent that I sent for you tonight is that they're talking about Mikey's sellout. Right? They're talking about all over the chats, Lennox.
Okay.
All over the chat. That they hear it. They have it from good sources that Mikey sell out to the PNM. But tell me, why is it that there's an article today, I think it's today's Guardian, that Mikey is campaigning for the UNC in Arima with the 4 prospective candidates? if Mikey sell out to the PNM, why is Mikey campaigning with them?
Listen,
You tell me, why is Mikey campaigning for the UNC?
desperate people, especially when they are in the doldrums, when their chips have fallen and disappeared and destroyed, they then, of course, like a drowning man, they hang on to a straw that, of course, will further put them in debt. So it's just a matter of time, but it is a good strategy to have them, of course, bellow, and their empty vessels will soon be identified for what it is. Yes.
Really empty vessels,
Yes.
banging on the pavement looking for relevance.
Yeah.
But you see,
This
Lennox,
PNM hope.
you see when people, right, but it's not PNM people alone doing it, Lennox.
I see.
That is what gets me vexed.
Oh, I see.
So-called
Okay.
UNC people doing it.
All right.
You understand? And they cussing the man. That the man make them follow them, and now the man sell them out. And the mother so and so. If you hear it, Lennox, that is what bring me on here tonight, you know.
Okay.
You understand?
No problem.
And
No
that is
problem.
what
It's a
make
good
me
cause.
send
It's a
out.
good cause. Yes. A good sub-cause to the wider, broader
Because-
issues of the incompetence and criminal behavior of this
No.
government. But go ahead.
But you see, Lennox, you remember when you sow a seed, just like we saw it with Rowley and the emails, with all the propaganda Rowley
Yes.
was spreading, how it mushroom.
Yes.
Do we want this casting aspersion on the man to mushroom?
No, none at all.
Mikey
We
did
need to
not
nip
have-
it in the bud. Yes, I agree with you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Mikey did not have a program on Wednesday, because every last Wednesday in the month there's a special programming on Gael.
Right.
So he only has a Tuesday, right? All of that they run with.
Well,
All
I
of
could
that. Now,
imagine.
Lennox, let me tell you
I could
something.
imagine if I couldn't find a way to get on what they would have said about the corridor and Lennox Smith.
But Lennox, they said it.
Well,
They said a lot about you on the corridor.
All right. Okay. Good. Good. Well, of course, I'll
And
let the
all
heart
you
be
know,
eaten out.
And Lennox, let me tell you something. I don't care what they say about me, you know. I don't care what they say about me. Because let me read something there.
Go ahead.
I take rumors as a compliment.
Yes.
The fact that you're bringing my name on the table, I don't sit at, shows you're obsessed with me.
Yes.
Stay bothered. Right?
Yeah,
So
ability
I
is
don't care what they
ability,
say
yeah.
about it. See, we have been through a lot, Lennox, on the ground report.
Yes.
We have been through a lot, right?
Yes.
Now, they come now, and I will defend anyone, all you, Lennox, and all you know
I know that. I know
all
that.
You know that.
We can rest. We
You
can be
understand?
rest
Yes.
assured, and that is something that we really appreciate collectively and individually.
Because you, as I started with, one for all and all for one.
That's right.
Because if we don't have each other back, what is going to happen?
Yes.
And this is what hurt me, because I know Mikey's are faithful.
Yes.
I know Mikey's are faithful. And then when I read this thing today in the papers, and they said that they interviewed Mikey. They interviewed Mikey.
All that will be manufactured.
Yeah.
All of that. Don't be surprised. It's just like Rowley. He engages in these phantasmagorical stories that if you don't have your sanity together, and if, of course, you are not, let's say, objective-minded, or you don't have, of course, a hold of your common sense, he carries you away. And tomorrow night, of course, I'm going to play some things that is from the bosom of the PNM. During, of course, the internal campaign said by a former minister under the Manning administration. Quite apart from what Manning said, there are other elements that said the same thing, but a little more what I consider to be toxic and much more egregious than what Manning said. Yeah, there are people who said it, but their credibility cannot be questioned in terms of their association with the PNM, and therefore authoritatively we can, of course, vouch and say that they are aware of the nature of Rowley and his, of course, a pernicious, evil, wicked, diabolical, and clearly insincere and dishonest disposition, and ought not to be in office today.
Lennox, let me tell you something. You see what it is they did to Mikey? It was really distasteful. right? And no revenge, because people who are naturally ugly inside end up destroying their own lives anyway, right?
Yes.
And they're trying very hard to destroy Mikey for whatever reason, I don't know, right? The man ain't do all the nothing, and that's what all they're going to come on all the chats and them and cast aspersion on the man, that the man sell out to the PNM and the man went to meet Shamfa. And because Andy laugh about it and say, who are you going to meet in Tobago? Right away, that was the icing on the cake, you know.
Yeah,
Andy's,
they're jumping onto straws, you know.
yeah.
Who? Yeah, so I am not. I
That was the
will
icing.
tell them
So
eat the heart out.
But Lennox, let me tell you something, you better make sure, don't care how you dying, drag yourself and come out in the morning, because next thing you know, they will say you sell out too. You know, you love the PNM so much.
Yeah.
You
No,
understand? You love the PNM so much that you're going to drag, you're going to sell out to the PNM. I want to know, but according to what somebody tell me, I will tell Mikey, take what the PNM giving you, take it and sell them out. Sell them out.
But that will happen in Tobago. So if you went Tobago, it might have been to, of course, get baptized in making sure that you remain steadfast, because Tobagonians eat them out and vote the tail out. So he probably going there to get some lessons in that strategy.
But let me tell you something, I mean, I don't want to get cremated for nobody, right? You know, that's like putting your hand in fire for people or whatever, yes. But you know the individual, you know the people that you have been dealing with. Oh God, Lennox, look how long, it's almost since 2010 I with you all. All about it only, talking to the people. You must know the individuals that you are dealing with.
That's right.
Right? And I mean, it really hurt me when I saw it, to cast aspersion on the man like that.
Yes.
Right? Because it just they're attacking the man character for what? For what? Right? So Lennox, that was my
futile political games.
tonight.
No matter what they say, no matter how they coin it, no matter how they fashion it, no matter how they describe it. They are going to lose the blasted elections on those very, very bases. So let them go ahead and grab at straws. Yes, and try to, of course, malign.
You want to hear. You betcha you want to hear. Put a spin with it tomorrow on the radio station.
I would have no doubt.
You bet you want to hear that Mikey Salo. Yeah.
Desperate people grab at.
But let me tell you something.
Anything. Yeah.
We have an election to win.
That's
right. We have to get rid of the PNM. And why is it that we are bringing down our own people? Why? This is what I can't understand. But Lennox, we have to keep, according to Mrs. Prasad Bissessa, we have to be laser focused.
Yes.
And we have to stop with, we have to, you see, somebody, and you know, it goes to the character of somebody, people that's spreading it. It goes to the character.
Yeah, so pay them no mind. I don't even make that a whimper, far less concern. But I know that people like you who are extremely emotional about the truth, who are sincere about
passionate.
When emotional, passionate. You know, you have some element of emotions in passion.
Yes.
So, but whichever category, it is a mental state. But I want to assure you, and therefore by extension, that nothing could be further from the truth nothing could be further from what they are suggesting as far as Mikey is concerned.
I know, Lennox. I know. That is why I got angry.
Yes.
And as you say, when you say I'm angry, it's only because I didn't want to curse. You understand? But I know I have to be calm and I have to be peaceful. Yeah, because I'm trying. I'm trying really hard. But I had to raise it. Yes, Lennox, I had to raise it tonight. Okay. So, Lennox, thanks for listening to me, and we'll chat again. Take care. Have a good night.
Yes, indeed. Of course, that was one of, of course, the external correspondence for the corridor, but of course defending one of our own, of course, on the ground reporter, that is Mikey. And of course, I am not going to engage in that conversation, except to say Mikey is capable, able, and willing, of course, at the appropriate time to, of course, defend himself. And I'm sure people who know him will know that. And but what I can confirm is that what Miss Santa Cruz has said is the gospel truth, and that is that it is propaganda, old talk, and a figment of a desperate person's imagination. In other words, wishful thinking. We are unpurchasable. We cannot be. We are immune to bribe, and therefore unbribable. You can say what you want. They must get the hell out of office. The PNM and Rowley. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yes, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, indeed.
Night again, man.
Yes.
Yeah, well, tell me, Santa Cruz, don't be troubled.
Yes, that's right. Don't be troubled. That's right. Yes, yes. But she's passionate. She's passionate. Yeah.
All right, but the PNM greatest asset is the propaganda machinery. You know that?
Yeah. It's working, but clearly it has collapsed.
No,
that propaganda machinery has collapsed. If they could go so exceptionally deep to produce a narrative from nothing at all, it shows how desperate they are, and that the propaganda machinery of the PNM has imploded, and it has therefore collapsed. No doubt. Go ahead, my friend.
You are quite correct, you know.
Yeah.
But they are I'll put it this way. If you remember Jean Mize, right?
Yes, Jean Mize, yes.
Right, they destroyed her.
Yes.
She raised some issues, and she was totally destroyed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So right now, the PNM they are uneasy because I don't see the winning the election unless they try Maduro.
Right, and this fella would contemplate that. This fella, Manning had some, of course, dignity about him, but this fella is a total rapscallion, and he is imbued or saturated or pregnant with dishonesty. So he will try anything, but of course there are other what I consider to be wagons that are circulating in order, of course, to protect the integrity of not only the opposition now and Kamala Prasad Biswas and the UNC, but also to ensure that the whole world will know, and therefore, if he wants to start World War III in Trinidad, let him, of course, engage in such blatant conduct of misbehavior and electoral fraud as Maduro has done, and see what will happen in Trinidad and Tobago and in the region. I say no more. Go ahead.
What make them uneasy? You see those two Tobago seats? Those two Tobago seats have them I'm worried, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'll rock back and listen to you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. And I think, of course, it's about time, of course, to demonstrate the incompetence of these people and how desperate they are. And let us, of course, go straight to that fact. Yes, indeed. Let us go straight to that fact. You need to understand that their incompetence and their impotence is one that cannot be sustained. It is not sustainable. Let me just get this organized. Yes. Oh, all right. Okay. Yes, indeed. Let me just get this particular. Yes. Let's go. Yes.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can protect our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
We have to spend a lot of money on security issues, both in the public sector and the private sector. It's a waste of national resources. a few people engaged in criminal conduct is causing us to direct a lot of resources to them, to control them and their behavior and to protect ourselves from it. And those millions that we're spending on national security were being spent on education and health and infrastructure and so on. So they are damaging us in more ways than one.
Let's start it over.
We'll decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can protect our country's fate. Move on, use it well before it's too late.
We have to spend a lot of money on security issues, both in the public sector and the private sector.
Yes, indeed, of course. Let's pause and take the call. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. This Sunday night edition. Yes, my friend. Yes. Working hard as usual.
You play that clip there with the Prime Minister stays spending money on a little bit of people, right?
Yes.
And that money can go better in other areas.
That's right.
It's the same thing with the Guinea money for.
My friend, go to the top of the class. Go to the top of the class. That's exactly what I want the people to understand. The man is convoluted and he's duplicitous when it is convenient for him. He then, of course, speaks as though he is interested in the treasury of the country and the protection thereof. And when, of course, it has to do with a benefit for him, he then, of course, generates a level of elasticity unprecedented, in addition to the corrupt ways that he has become, of course, many of them in the cabinet, a multi-millionaire. And don't tell me all they don't know what I'm talking about, because you know about the over 500 recusals. That tells me it's corruption. That is what that spells. But go ahead, my friend. The real bold face.
Yes, all of them feeding off the patronage of the people of this country. You understand? I watch a man get buried during the weekend. One of the divers' father, the man died who was heartbroken. And you wouldn't believe one of these TNM callers on our show call up and say, what they talking about, the man died heartbroken? How them know the man died heartbroken? Them know anything?
They will
These
say
media
that
people
they
know
have
anything?
they are in intellectual and, of course, cognitive decline. They simply do not know what to say. And of course, there is a Greek saying that who's the gods wish to destroy, they first send them berserk, crazy. That is what is happening with all of them, those talk show hoax. Go ahead.
I really sorry there no justice in this country, because men like Gilbert, Peterson, and all the lawyers that make that mint out of this case for nothing, because the Prime Minister forward this stupid inquiry into nothing. And you can't charge nobody because of this stupidness that's going on here. When they should have proper procedure where the police, they can gather evidence, which they can't anyway, to form a case against the individuals who carried out that data on these people and them in the pipeline, have them suffer to die there. I mean, all of them fellas facing the pipeline and die, they should pay $1 million each for each of them, right? So if they spend about 48 hours, each of them get 40-something million. Because Piper and Mushtaq and George, these trio fellas, they're responsible for murder, 4 men they kill, and they get away scot-free for now. But they have a time and a place for all of these jokers and all the people and them who, like the Prime Minister and all of them, who cover up this thing with this stupid inquiry that went on there. And if the man who had the inquiry said the people should be getting some kind of compensation, they ain't getting nothing. I wonder how he will feel today, knowing that nothing can give to these people and them, and still they're fighting for $1 and a cent for their family, and especially in the in the law fraternity area. I mean, this thing getting more worse, Lennox. The country falling apart. I see tonight, oh gosh, why Lennox? Like it's only the dissidents and them just talk for the UNC these days. They interview 3 of them and ask them what they're going to do with their raise, and them say they're going to give it to charity. But I didn't know they're so charitable now, boy. Them truly don't need no money at all.
No, that's a trying to appease and try to, of course, placate the stress, the anger, and the disapprobation and the disconcertedness and disbelief of the population, that after they know that they have stolen so much over the last 9 years, personally and directly and indirectly, they then, of course, take what they consider now to be a legal opportunity, and therefore Rowley led the narrative by saying that he is going to accept it because it is not about whether it is right or wrong. Is that the Salaries Review Commission made the decision, and suggesting that it's not him to, of course, to take the moral and ethical standard and ground. I say to you, Dr. Rowley, you are not just despicable. Not only are you a rapscallion, but you are a total devilish individual whose, of course, evil knows no boundary. Go ahead, my friend.
He's something like Faris Alwari when he says he substance in the email and Vento, who you know is now talking about it.
Vento take the same position too.
Yeah, they're going by the letter, not what the law say, but the letter, how it worded, and that's how they give it, what we want to do. I have to take it,
Yeah,
They don't put,
that's what he's saying. Yeah. And then he talk about.
I know that choice. I mean, people suffering, but what you could do when them time come, here we say when them time come, the relevant union go to the CPO, and the CPO go bargain with them. Like if them go get 47%. In their dreams, they're getting 47%. None of them will never get double digit figures like
hogwash. The man is totally out of his depth and evil to the core.
And I say, well, if the Salary Reviews Commission doing that, they should go and bargain for the workers now, right? The workers in this country, and remove the CPO, because they have no what should it cover and how much they giving. They give a man 47%. That is almost half of the pay rise he get it. Again.
As you on the line, I want to tell you what my considered position is on that, having regard to the conduct of this Prime Minister. There are elements in the cabinet that may not have gotten the windfall and overnight become, of course, rich, like Rowley and other elements who have, of course, parasitically lived and extracted from the treasury of the country and the people of the country. So what that is all about is to satisfy those who did not pursue that course. You see? So in other words, he has spread that response, but in this case, of course, he got a legal option, and he now decides, of course, to augment the gains, the material gains, the monetary gains of those who were not in that cabal that, of course, has become extraordinarily rich, inexplicable. Go ahead.
You mean Mr. and Mrs. Nobody who don't have no portfolio at all?
That's right. Yeah, that's what he has done that for. Yeah, that's the kind of fella he is. That's the kind of fella he has done. Yeah. I mean, his playbook for me is one that is so pellucid, is so conspicuous that there's hardly anything he could do again that, of course, cannot be explained from what he has done in the past and his temperament and, of course, obnoxious and brutal and ruthless and heartless conduct against the people of the country.
But before I go, this Salary Reviews Commission that put forward this thing, right? It's not going to be debated at all in Parliament.
I think it has to be laid. That's why they have delayed it. He spoke there to give the people a forewarning, a precursor, a preview as to what to come. That is what he has done. He has tested the waters. But I'm going to tell you something. Don't be surprised if ultimately he comes and says, listen, because of the concern of the population, is another dimension of the multiple diversion Don't get
gimmick.
tired of that. That is why, of course, tonight I'm talking crime. Let them know that we know what they are and what is possible. So don't be surprised if he comes and say he listened to the people to get, of course, an opportunity to, of course, get into the conscience of the people, so he believes, so that he could get an advantage at the polls.
That if that had to be debated, it could be debated before the year done.
Well, if he is serious about, because he is of course between two poles. The one is whether or not those who have not been eating illegally, illicitly at the trough of the treasury and the people and the taxpayers, to satisfy them from within, and at the same time over satisfying that group that have, of course, gormandized the resources of the country, and at the same time looking at whether or not their opportunity to get back into office will collapse. And so it is those three areas that he has to rationalize and, of course, familiarize himself with in order to come up with the ultimate decision. But all of the factors that I've just indicated are part and parcel of the variables that he must consider. His ass is grass, frankly. He is in a quagmire, but of course he will have to make a decision ultimately, and any decision he makes will be to the detriment of the PNM. But he may be able to satisfy one or two of them that are in the cabinet that did not, of course, steal from the treasury in the way that, of course, those, what I consider to be those four horsemen of the apocalypse has done. I'm talking about Rowley, I'm talking about Al-Rari, I'm talking about the Minister of Finance, Imbert, and I'm talking about Stuart Young.
Don't forget your promise, the names of those people in that SRC board there.
The what?
The names of the people in the committee of the SRC.
Yeah, certainly. I will be, of course, pursuing that via Freedom of Information. We need to get that.
All right, thank you.
So while the opposition is doing their thing, we must do our thing as well. Let's start over, of course, that video that I've prepared tonight, because we must not be lured by Dr. Rowley and the deflection.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
We have to spend a lot of money on security issues, both in the public sector and the private sector. It's a waste of national resources. A few people engaged in criminal conduct is causing us to direct a lot of resources to them, to control them and their behavior and to protect ourselves from them. And those millions that we're spending on national security were being spent on education and health and infrastructure and so on. So they are damaging us in more ways than one. I see people asking, are the criminals causing foreign investor? But that's foreign investor. What about local people? What about local allocation of resources? We are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on security items to keep people out of your yard. And of course, there are families who have members of their families who are murderers, killers who are known to them. They're supporting them, hiding them. Some of them hiding the guns for them. And at the end of the day, we are wasting lives and resources.
You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe.
Question 9. Will the Prime Minister state whether he will consider the former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith's request to meet with him as well as the opposition leader to discuss solutions to our raging crime crisis?
I have very good reasons not to meet with Gary Griffith under any circumstances. For As meeting with the opposition is concerned, I meet with them all the time in this chamber, in front of you, Madam Speaker, and they have obstructed every single attempt we had to fight crime in this country. We will not cooperate with government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office.
Mr. Prime Minister, is it not abundantly clear to you that you have failed? Mr. Prime Minister, is it not abundantly clear to you that you have failed?
You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men. You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element.
Mr. Prime Minister, would you not say that there are benefits to consultation with people who may know more than you about the crime situation in Trinidad?
Prime Minister.
The member might be surprised, but we do that all the time. You're losing the war against the criminal element. I could speak about one of them who over and over tells the country at press conferences every 2 or 3 days that they will support nothing that the government brings to the parliament because they have some kind of grouse. Take an oath of office to look after the people's interests without fear or favor, malice or ill will, but going out there and telling the media every Monday morning they will support nothing that the government brings here. We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office. This is not the beginning of the end. It is the end of the beginning of our action, but it is the beginning of the end of the Kamla Prasad regime. The beginning of the end of the Kamla Prasad regime. Hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
Yes, indeed, people. I think it's so nice. I think we have to do it twice because I'm sure that there are a number of issues that would have been raised in that one because, of course, immediately the government must account for the Vincent Nelson fiasco. The government must account for the Brent Thomas fiasco. The government must account for the fake oil matter that involved Dr. Rowley and, of course, the entire cabinet subverting the course of criminal justice. We are not hearing anything about it. But, of course, Rowley will try to tell us he's going to Barbados and talking, of course, to our outgoing administration officials as if that has any impact on, of course, Trinidad and Tobago. They must tell us about that $400 million highway to nowhere, that of course the so-called highway to Manzanilla, that of course ended up in, of course, Sangre Grande, and therefore part of the should I say shortcut road network to Manzanilla, without of course bypassing Sandy Grande per se, but smack inside Sandy Grande. They must, of course, account for the 400. They seem to have a fixation on 400 million. Because, of course, we must talk about the whole question of the TSTT board that, of course, use 400 million, no, 200 in this case. So it's either 400 or 200, of course, with respect, of course, to the purchase of Need and Mercy Communications. We must be able to, of course, address that matter. We must be able to understand that crime and criminality and the fact that we have, 560 murders thereabout. Of course, overnight it must be increased, having regard, of course, to the pattern. And we must accept the fact that Rowley has given up. He has told us, of course, as you saw in this clip, that, of course, two women that are not in their bedroom and that you call on the Prime Minister, I can do nothing for it. And then he admitted, of course, that crime has, of course, eluded and is intractable for the PNM. And we cannot, of course, take away the fact that over the last 3 consecutive years, we have had, of course, record murders, at least compared to 2008, when, of course, coming into office, that was the record. But we had a whole 5 years in between the Kamala Prasad administration that never reached, of course, the 500 mark. And here it is as soon as he comes back in spite of the presence of Gary Griffith. So it's clear that there's a nexus between murders, violence, and, of course, the fortunes of Trinidad and Tobago economically, socially, and, of course, our ability to generate the equanimity, the calm that we expect, having regard to the resources that has been expended. Let's hear Rowley again as he confessed as to his inability to manage the affairs of the country. And yesterday, of course, we did say, and don't get me vexed before I play tonight again, that he said that a government that is unable to manage the affairs of a country is part of the problem and ought to jettison themselves or to dismiss themselves, but not Rowley, that miscreant, that dishonest son of a gun, who, of course, takes pleasure in, of course, bringing bad news and, of course, subjecting the population to evil, wickedness, and diabolical behavior. Yes, indeed. And we must reject. They cannot gaslight us, nor hoodwink us, nor pretend, of course, that what we are experiencing does not exist. And that, of course, you have persons who are going to concoct, manufacture that is stereotypical of the leader, manufacturing emails, manufacturing, of course, a storm in a teacup in the case of Rishmi, and, of course, that of the Section 34. But, of course, it's the same man will tell us that here there is an institution that they created called SSA. SSA, and, of course, they also manned, or they also provided the human resource for its management, and then tell us that they were planning or plotting to, of course, overthrow the government. And when, of course, the smoke has been cleared, it turns out that it is they who are now threatening to sue the government for bad rumor and of course, sullying their good name and character. And so they are now negotiating. Yes, Rowley, tell us, what is the negotiation? Yes, Hines, you say you're leaving. Tell us at least, clear your conscience. What is the negotiation between, of course, the leadership of the SSA, the former SSA, and the government today, and whether or not there was a plot to, of course, overthrow the government of Keith Christopher Rowley? That is the kind of diversion. So you are going to get these phantasmagorical stories manufactured by, of course, a pernicious and evil group of individuals led by the devil personified himself. And you wondering why Michael Kerr is the subject of their pernicious conduct. Don't be surprised. I am not. I am not, people. I am not. Listen to them.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can protect our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
We have to spend a lot of money on security issues, both in the public sector and the private sector. It's a waste of national resources. A few people engaged in criminal conduct is causing us to direct a lot of resources to them, to control them and their behavior and to protect ourselves from them. And those millions that we're spending on national security were being spent on education and health and infrastructure and so on. So they are damaging us in more ways than one. I see people asking, are the criminals causing foreign investor? But that's foreign investor. What about local people? What about local allocation of resources? We are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on security items to keep people out your yard. And of course, there are families who have members of their families who are murderers, killers who are known to them. They're supporting them, hiding them. Some of them hiding the guns for them. And at the end of the day, we are wasting lives and resources.
You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable. And the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe.
Question 9. Will the Prime Minister state whether he will consider the former Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffiths' request to meet with him as well as the opposition leader to discuss solutions to our raging crime crisis?
I have very good reasons not to meet with Gary Griffith under any circumstances. As far as meeting with the opposition is concerned, I meet with them all the time in this chamber, in front of you, Madam Speaker, and they have obstructed every single attempt we had to fight crime in this country. We will not cooperate with government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office.
Mr. Prime Minister, is it not abundantly clear to you that you have failed? Mr. Prime Minister, is it not abundantly clear to you that you have failed?
You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men. You're losing the war against the criminal element. You're losing the war against the criminal element.
Mr. Prime Minister, would you not say that there are benefits to consultation with people who may know more than you about the crime situation in Trinidad?
Prime Minister. The member might be surprised, but we do that all the time. You're losing the war against the criminal element. I could speak about one of them who over and over tells the country at press conferences every 2 or 3 days that they will support nothing that the government brings to the parliament because they have some kind of grouse. Take an oath of office to look after the people's interests without fear or favor, malice or ill will, but going out there and telling the media every Monday morning they will support nothing that the government brings here. We will not cooperate with the government of Trinidad and Tobago on any matter. We will isolate them for as long as they're in office until they leave office. This is not the beginning of the end. It is the end of the beginning of our action, but it is the beginning of the end of the Kamla Prasad regime. The beginning of the end of the Kamla Prasad regime. Hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
Yes,
when was it? 2011. This government tried to get the president to fire the board of the central bank. Besides the governor, there were 8 members of the board of Central Bank. The government tried to get the president to remove them. The president refused. You know what this UNC government did? They appointed 9 people to the board. Because the law had said how many you could appoint. They didn't put a limit. So they realized a little loophole in the law. There was nothing in the law to prevent them from doing that. So they appointed 9 people to the board and made the board a board of 17. So the control they wanted to have by changing the board, because the president didn't agree, they didn't accept the president's control of the situation. They went around the presidential control and appointed 9 people to the board. They now have 17, and they appointed their own governor. They brought in the man who is now the current governor of the central bank. And at the time we objected, because we knew that this was an area of high skill, requires certain temperament, and it ought not to be a political football as it was being made at the time. Today, many of you go into the banks, you can't get, I heard this morning from one station, somebody went to get $15 to pay a bill.
I want to tell you, of course, that was Rowley as opposition leader before the 2015 general elections. Listen to him. Of course, he would admit that what the UNC did to get rid of the governor, according to him, of the central bank, is not illegal. However, we know that what they did was illegal. Why? Because, of course, the former governor, Rambaran, he, of course, took the matter to court, and, of course, he was awarded $7 million. So we know what they did, but nobody had, of course, cause to take anybody to court because, of course, the UNC clearly has demonstrated its prowess, it's brighter than them, and, of course, why leave a PNM appointed governor there to frustrate, of course, the UNC? UNC did well, and, of course, we have no complaint. Even Rowley has no complaint. When he said, when the question was posed to him, whether people are better off under a Rowley PNM government as opposed to Kamala Persad-Bissessar, well, Rowley answered the question by saying, of course, if milk and honey was flowing under Kamala Persad-Bissessar, you had to be a fool to, of course, not to be better off. But I want you to understand how these people think, and that kind of thinking is similar, of course, to somebody who you would have been given a task to performed not creditably, but performed disastrously, and then, of course, will say so and accept that fact, as we saw, of course, in the clip before, and still expect to remain in office. How the hell Rowley could tell us that he has not been able to address crime? That, of course, the country has been getting, of course, bad reviews from places that he, and the reason for bringing in people like Sandals to, of course, generate a new form or a new source of foreign exchange. But at the same time, because of the crime and criminality, the people who you expected to come in as tourists and or investors from Europe, from Canada, from the United States, from parts of Europe, including, of course, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Italy, etc., and they are telling their people, don't come to Trinidad, and therefore they are, of course, emasculating or limiting. And if you come at your own risk to Trinidad to invest. But if you do come, do not go to places like Laventille, Nelson Street, etc. Yes, these people have it in their files. And don't tell me you don't understand why they have it and why they're saying that. Because they have representatives here, whether you call them, whether you give them a generic term, emissaries, or more specifically, ambassadors and of course, high commissioners. In the case of Commonwealth countries, they are called high commissioners. And other countries, of course, like those in Europe and, of course, the United States, they are called, of course, ambassadors. Whether they are ambassadors, high commissioners, or emissaries. The fact is that they are here and that they know what we know. And that therefore, if you want to measure the level of deception and the level of gaslighting and hoodwinking and dishonesty on the part of Rowley and they, then you must also see it in the context or analyze it in the context that foreign governments are telling their citizens, don't come to Trinidad. We either to invest or as tourists. But if you do, don't go to Laventille and Nelson Street and so on. How the hell they know not to go to Nelson Street, around the Savannah, Belmont, etc. And now, of course, they're saying St. Augustine as well, who that is supposed to be our intellectual, or should I say educational capital. Our educational center because of the presence of UWI and a number of tertiary educational facilities that have mushroomed or emerged or grew there. That is the disaster that is Rowley and they. But he would not tell you that. He wants you to believe that the Salary Review Commission is an entity independent of its own. And because it makes those recommendations, they have no choice but, of course, to accept it. You know, in a different dispensation at one time, they agreed that they should not accept the recommendation. How come you're doing it now? And I say that there could only be one reason: to spread that which those who believe that they didn't get enough from a Rowley spurge, a Rowley proliferation, a Rowley abuse, pillage and raiding of the treasury of the country. And we only, as I say, keep your eyes on Balize House. I told you how that emerged and why it ought not to be, and where they get that money from, over $100 million. When of course the PNM was bankrupt when Rowley started off. He don't like us to say that, and don't get me vexed before I play it tonight. You know, don't get me vexed. But listen to him now on, of course, the question of foreign exchange and how he was criticizing, of course, the UNC. Today, your experience is that you can't get $50 US right now. But listen to him criticizing, of course, the Kamala Persad administration. And you could bet your bottom dollar that was a blasted lie. Listen to him.
In a bank in Trinidad and Tobago, and the bank told them they could not get it. Because we knew that this was an area of high skill, requires certain temperament, and it ought not to be a political football as it was being made at the time. Today, many of you go into the banks, you can't get, I heard this morning from one station, somebody went to get $15 US to pay a bill in a bank in Trinidad and Tobago, and the bank told them they could not get it.
That was under, of course, he was mentioning that when he was opposition leader. And I want to tell you just as how he come out the car and it was his favorite station to listen to the ground report. That seems to be a pattern of lies that he has manufactured in a very pernicious, evil, concocting mind. So you could safely say that whilst we were not looking for him to be the kind of person that we know now he is, extremely mendacious, a fellow, of course, who is clearly suffering from what I consider to be the inability to tell the truth, and clearly a victim of manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis, people. A person who, of course, has no relationship to the truth or to reality. Manic depressive psychosis. All of them. So this is what he was saying then. And we know now it was a concoction as he concocted those emails. Why would you even consider the PNM? There are those who are trying to tell us today that there is a thin margin and that no one could feel comfortable in winning the next elections. I say to you, that is part and parcel of the machinations of the PNM, because they know they cannot win, so the propaganda machinery is working in overdrive. It is now on steroids, including, of course, our own Michael Kerr, as one caller rightly said. But we are watching, and we know, and we are going to, of course, disclose, analyze, and, of course, disabuse, as well as, of course, tell you the truth and nothing but the truth.
Many of you have children abroad. You have to pay their upkeep and the bills. You go to the bank, you can't get US dollars. There's a raging black market going on in Trinidad and Tobago today, because if you want the US dollars and somebody has it, you have to pay what they're asking for it to get it. You the householder, you the small business owner, you the medium business owner, we the country, we can have a supply of US dollars or whatever you need to conduct your business. Two largest banks with the largest customer base don't have enough foreign exchange for their customers. So immediately a crisis develops, because the customers will come to their banks and their banks can't satisfy their need. Yesterday morning I saw on television one of our favorite business, one of our biggest business houses supplying medicine to the hospitals. Medicine to the hospitals. They are required to pay $2 million US to bring in a batch of medicine for the hospitals from the various agents that they deal with abroad. They could only have raised $100,000. You know what that means? It means that there'll be a short supply of drugs in the hospitals. And if you don't have them in the hospitals, it means that people like me and you will die. Because those who have the means will fly out and get the treatment outside or go to the private hospitals. But John Public, who rely on the public hospitals, would never know that the supplier wanted $2 million US to bring in the medication and only got $100,000.
Of course, there is a need to pause there of necessity. You see, in that statement before the 2015 elections about the forex in this country, Rowley told us in uncertain terms that people like he would not be able to get drugs in the country and get, of course, medical attention. Listen to him carefully. People like he, medical attention. Well, we know that was a blatant, unadulterated, and unvarnished lie. Because as soon as he became, of course, a prime minister, every time except for one occasion, because he didn't plan it, he went abroad. He went abroad over the last 9 years, making him, of course, a frequent flyer. That contributed to being a frequent flyer and give us some kind of cock and bull story. But listen to the lies that he told, because he wanted to be in that office so that he could abuse our resources, like what he did, of course, for coffee, because he wanted to keep him alive, because, of course, he had only 23 seats. 23 seats. So coffee was important at the time. So he didn't mind, of course, raiding the treasury of the country to keep him alive and don't have to face the polls. Listen to him.
You will die. Because those who have the means will fly out from the various agents that they deal with abroad. They could only have raised $100,000. You know what that means? It means that there'll be a short supply of drugs in the hospitals. And if you don't have them in the hospitals, it means that people like me and you will die. Because Those who have the means will fly out and get the treatment outside on $100,000. You know what that means? It means that there'll be a short supply of drugs in the hospitals. And if you don't have them in the hospitals, it means that people like me and you will die. Because $100,000. You know what that means? It means that there'll be a short supply.
Yes, indeed. Let's go to the lines. Professor, good night. I know that somebody will pick it up and, of course, want to comment on it. Professor, good night.
Lennox, a pleasant good night again. Lennox, you know when people die, they just get rigor mortis, right?
Yes.
He will get rigor mortis before he dead for lying. Lennox, that man could lie.
Expose the tail. Me and
yes. No, but you see, we have one on the chat. We have one on the chat, a blue fly. That's saying you're only playing old clips. Why you have to go back to old clips? But you have to go back and remind the people what a liar he is.
Of course. I'm not stupid. I will not fall victim to that cheap attempt at reverse psychology. We will damn well play it because it has relevance to today.
I agree.
Because he never stayed in the country after. But when Kamala and they were in government, he said that people like you and I are trying to, of course, the damn fools and them who are trying to defend the indefensible doesn't understand that he's making a mockery and a fool of them, and that they must now come on board and face the reality that Rowley is a dishonest, lying miscreant. Go ahead.
Lennox, just like how they say, I'd like to go back. But if you don't look back, you will repeat it.
You don't know where you're going, man.
You will repeat.
That's right.
Yes. But Lennox, the man is a rotten, gut lying lunatic. That's what the man is.
That is what I want to hear. That is what I want people to be angry. That he could, he believed that he could do that and insult people's intelligence in that way, except, of course, for those who are clearly either in denial or they are hoax. Go ahead.
Lennox, he really insulted the intelligence of his shell nuts because people actually believe that crap that man was talking.
Yes.
I am listening to him, Lennox.
Yeah.
And you know who he reminded me of? That visually impaired man in Woodford Square.
Yes.
That man stand up there and tell everybody, because it's the same thing Rowley was repeating about the Forex. Where is the Forex situation today? And he talking shit, excuse my language, Lennox.
Of course he's talking that.
And mind you,
the two examples that he gave, we know now there's a total lie. No way, just as how he said to of course take away the laptops from the people. He had some kind of UE
a UE study. Yeah.
report, a UE investigation, UE data. Just as how he couldn't tell us which one of the reports of that looked at the oil industry and tell us which one of them informed the cabinet to close down Petrotrin. He can't tell us. None of them had that in their report. None.
64 million was spent on the Ashley and other reports.
Yes.
Not to close down Petrotrin.
None of them.
Espini admitted in the industrial court he never gave instructions to close it down.
Yes.
Rowley's a consummate liar. And then you have people defending him. I find, Lennox, kick them people off your chat.
No. They have to take that.
You have to leave them to show up their ignorance.
Take that. The truth does offend, and then they will, of course, respond aggressively. But the truth will always prevail. It was Hazel Manning who said that the truth is a difficult thing, of course, to absorb by persons who had a different... What it will do, however, it will, of course, prick their conscience. And when they go home, don't feel that they don't know when they lie down. I say, but I'm sure they said, but this blasted man could lie, boy. The man who I defend, a rapist and a pedophile, and now he's a total, absolute, and consummate, and indurate, and of course, should I say, pathological liar.
something wrong with our man, something
Yes.
serious. And the man is live with a straight face.
Straight face. Straight
And the
face.
man-
That is
Lennox, Lennox,
it's
when you
confusing
say
them.
you get time,
Yeah.
when you say you get time, you must play the tape when he say he don't lie. Play the tape when he say he don't lie. He's the Prime Minister.
I think
and
it's
he don't
appropriate
lie
to play
the
that
people.
after this one. Yes, I think I better do that.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that he don't lie.
Yes.
That everything. I want to know how Sharon can still be with that man.
Boy,
Money
I'm
really
boy.
talk, you know.
I suppose,
That
and of
she
course,
could-
position.
because-
And money and position has to be the only thing that
Yeah,
will make that
yeah,
happen.
money and possession.
Yeah,
Lennox, because I
that
am
face he
sure,
had age,
I am
only a mother would
absolutely
love it.
sure that marriage was based on lies.
Of course.
Because that man can't lie just so, Lennox. He had to be, he gifted, you know. Lennox Rowley is gifted.
To lie.
To come and, yes, and to watch people in their faces just for $15 somebody went to get. Lennox?
Yeah, boy.
$15.
And
yeah.
we didn't know, because he knew that we didn't know him, because at the time when he was talking, he appeared to be a serious man. He appeared to be a corruption buster, because he was prepared to throw Manning under the bus. He knows that the people of them are watching, and that is the kind of man. And today, we know him to be a what? A corruption promoter.
I'm talking about when the ship dock, who they had to throw overboard. They should have thrown his ass overboard. Excuse my language here tonight, Lennox.
Yes.
I said they don't get like getting vexed into this man and his lies. And people can defend that, Lennox. People are actually defending
They
Rowdy
could
lies.
defend it in an illusion, not in reality.
And Lennox, you notice something now, that man in a dress that missing money?
Yes.
That man in a dress the case that the lady won in the Privy Council to go
He
after
said
him.
something about it, but it was obfuscatory. It was amorphous, so because he said that eventually people will know that the government would be speaking the truth. Some words that
Lennox,
when he says speaking the truth, and coming out of
it's
his
a big
mouth
lie.
is total and absolute lie. That in itself was a lie. But go ahead.
So you're trying to tell me, in other words, it was totally irrelevant what he said.
That's right. Total.
It was totally irrelevant. Lennox, I don't know what is wrong with this man.
Yes, man.
What is wrong? What does this man is getting lying so?
There's a
Like lying, I know a lot
pathological
of people have a now, like
backside.
my second language is obscene, right? Rowdy's second language is lying.
The man is
My God.
habitual in that,
You
in
see,
that
Lennox?
regard, yes.
Let me tell you something, I'll take you back to an article.
Go ahead.
Where you remember when the man had the when they were protesting with the Section 34,
Yes.
and the man had a placard with some racist thing on it, right?
Yes.
And when they interviewed his sister, his sister's some Courtney woman,
Yeah.
I think it's Ruth Courtney or something, so it's her name,
All
in
right.
Tobago.
Yes.
His stepsister, his Douglas, as the newspaper put it, the news day, his Douglas stepsister said that he's not a racist. And they grew up with their grandfather who taught them never to lie. Their grandfather told them, and I'm quoting, lying lips are abomination to the Lord. Lennox, you heard it?
Yes,
His
yes,
grandfather
but
told them that lying lips are abomination to the Lord, and Keith will never lie like that. But Keith also bear false witness. Apparently, he didn't take it. The only thing he took from the grandfather was the land. Nothing else.
Those superlative principles, moral and ethical advice for inculcation, clearly, Rowley was either tying the goat on them, or maybe engaging at that young age with playing with honey goat weed. Because for sure, that would not have been part of his vocabulary or his
Growing
training.
up,
Or his training, yes. So let us not waste time.
But you see, But in my opinion, Lennox, in my humble opinion, you see, Rowley whole life was based on lies.
Yeah.
So he know nothing else but lies. And today, when he one foot is in the departure lounge, right? The man is still lying. So the man is still lying like nobody's business.
And he believes
but
he convincing those persons around him, because I can well see
the truth.
how he said that what I have will bring down the government. He concocted that, you know, and they're so stupid. They're still believing because he has this uncanny and evil ability. It is second nature to, of course, convince people to stay with him until, of course, the faces hit the fan.
Well, let me tell you something before I leave,
Go ahead.
There are a lot of people that are convinced now that Rowley lied to them. And they are saying that they will never fall for Rowley lies again.
Yes.
Because they are seeing after 9 years, right? You spend 58 million. They give SRPK 58 million to find UNC corruption, and she came up empty-handed, right? Why nobody's before the court? And they fabricated that case against Dr. Monilal, and a lot of people, they are convinced, except for the crayfish posse,
Well,
right?
yeah,
you can't get away
listen,
from them.
The devil has its imps. I can't call them angels.
Yeah.
They're imps.
Imps,
So you find them, of course, in these state enterprises, where you find them in CPEP, etc., where they get in a little kakada, but not even them. I'm sure, would be convinced by Rowley, except, of course, the 30 piece of silver will, of course, incite them to be Judases.
Well, I find Lennox, they should take that 30 pieces of silver and go and get some rope. Thanks a lot for Lennox, and have a good night.
Yeah, don't be surprised if they have not bought it and waiting for the results of the next elections. That being as it may, of course, let's continue with Dr. Rowley and his of course, mendacious and, of course, destiny with illusion.
Don't have them in the hospitals, it means that people like me and you will die. Because those who have the means will fly out and get the treatment outside or go to the private hospitals.
Like
but
you.
John Public who rely on the public hospitals would never know that the supplier wanted $2 million to bring in the medication and only got $100,000. And then the governor has the unmitigated gall when this problem arises and we point it to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, to accuse us of playing politics. Well, tonight I want to say to the governor of the central bank, if your job is playing politics, our job is informing the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, there are many business houses in the country who cannot service their needs, has created instability and a lack of confidence. People are going to lose their jobs or lose their businesses. And once the black market begins to grow, it's like a cancer, it never goes away. Because right now, whereas before in the period of stability, persons would have gone, if they have US dollars, they put it in the bank. But because you can't get out of the bank, those who have US dollars not putting it in the bank, and it's a downward spiral of availability of money. And all of that is destroying the economic potential. If you want to travel, you have to go to the bank now with your ticket and your itinerary. And if you're lucky, they will give you a couple $100 US.
Exactly what is happening today, people.
And they tell you, there's no problem.
Do not be fooled, people. This is when Rowley was in opposition to the UNC. Before the 2015 general elections, you heard that, of course, he is one would have been affected by no foreign exchange and therefore to use the hospitals of this country with no medicine. But today, of course, what he explained back then is the reality today. Of course, embellished with the phantasmagorical stories that we know that is stereotypical of this man. Let's go to the lines. Tobago, welcome. A pleasant good night, Silver Fox.
Yes, man. Good night, good night, good night. I was coming on, but I just had to ask one thing, and because tomorrow I want to do my talking.
All right, go ahead.
You sure that fella named Keith Christopher Rowley, the way does lie? You sure that's the right name? Thank you.
I will not be surprised if he lie on your name too, because he has all kinds of sobriquet. He has all kind of what is called pseudonyms, from rapist to, of course, pedophile to, of course, Kobo, political Kobo, to, of course, despicable, to egregious, to mendacious, and to, of course, rapscallion, and, of course, extremely criminalistic in terms of his disposition. All of the above. So I will not be surprised if his true name is not what he's claiming to be.
There's no problem. The country has $10 billion. We will never question that we don't have money. What we question...
I want you to take note of that. Before the election of 2015, Rowley accepted that there was $10 billion in reserves. He just said then that, of course, there wasn't questioning whether they have it. So it means that they have it, just in case people don't understand that level of language and understanding. But as a teacher, as a pedagogue, I need, of course, to explain to you, the ordinary man along the East-West Corridor in Laventille, Beetham, etc., that when Rowley said in 2015, he should, in case you are in doubt, when he ended up saying, after he said that the country was running on fumes, remember that? Well, he knew before 2015 elections, that the country had over $10 billion in reserve. That is why you cannot now accept what he said then, because he told us two egregious lies, apart from, of course, the emails that should make him be a candidate for treason, and therefore committing the cardinal sin. Let me just finish here, Mr. San Fernando. I just want to make one point before I forget after you would have spoken. But the fact of the matter is that Rowley said that there was $10 billion even before he entered as Prime Minister of this country after the 2015 elections. And he said what? That they weren't doubting that. Listen again. Listen again.
That is what is going on. And they tell you, there's no problem. There's no problem. The country has $10 billion. We will never question that we don't have money. That is what is going on. And they tell you, there's no problem. There's no problem. The country has $10 billion. We will never question that we don't have money. The questioning is how you're managing this. That is what is going on. And they tell you, there's no problem. There's no problem. The country has $10 billion. We will never question that we don't have money.
So therefore, the example that he gave us with respect, of course, to that $15 that they couldn't get. Are you seeing it plausible, people? And the $1 million that the businessman he said couldn't get, are you seeing that as plausible? No, he lied. He made up that because he is not questioning that they had 10 billion. 10 billion is 1,000 million is a billion, and you had 10 of that. A pleasant good night. Welcome, Mr. San Fernando.
That man could really lie.
If he could lie.
I remember how easier it was to really get U.S. under Joala.
You cannot say on the one hand that a man couldn't get $15. He say, $15. You can't go in any newspaper and see that, but he see that in the newspaper. All of that is to make his audience bamboozled and him believable. That is what he does. He manufactured these, what I consider to be apparent irrefutable lies. Irrefutable lies is an oxymoron.
He manufactures his research really good.
Yeah.
In order to tell those lies, because if he could do that, then I wonder if he was an honest person, right? Then the research would have been done properly, but you could
he don't research. He manufactured those things. He go and sleep.
Yeah, he manufactured it.
Yeah, and then of course come up with these phantasmagorical. So you know why? Because he's abusing his doctorate, and he's abusing, of course, the position that he holds, and he is abusing, of course, the influence that he wields in order to project these nasty and, of course, self-serving untruths. I'm trying to be nice here, euphemistically, but go ahead.
I will go down this road, because even with the education, and I'm going back to it again, right? He was either asleep in the parliament for between 2010 and 2015, because I'm going down this road again, because where I want to sink it in to the population of Trinidad and Tobago and the world, right? Because 106 schools was built under Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and you didn't know,
and he couldn't find it. He ain't government. He's prime minister. He couldn't find it.
And he couldn't find it. So he can actually concoct stories and convince people that he's telling the truth, but actually it's not the truth. When you really look at it. So I don't know where to find this man from.
I don't know what kind of beast in human form end up with PNM finally, boy.
Yeah, they're making it. They're making Tobago look shame, because a man like A&R Robinson come out from Tobago, and A&R Robinson was a scholar.
Poise and pride. Yeah. He make the man look as though that Robinson is not the dignified person that he turned out to be. When you hear, of course, degradation like this man.
I'm telling you, I can't understand this thing at all, boy.
Yeah, it is incomprehensible, but it is real, and we have to, of course, treat with this matter on the next elections, no doubt.
Yes, so Trinidadians better wake up.
Yes.
I hope they wake up to 2025. Really go on.
Must go, and we have a job to keep him out of government, he and the PNM, after the UNC would have secured the handsome victory that one expects in the next elections.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing some research on the commission, the Salaries Review Commission.
Yes,
Yeah, and I've seen over the internet that on the 16th of November 2021, it was Nicole Ferreira Aaron who was appointed.
Okay.
I saw it on the internet just now.
Yeah, right, but it's a team of them. It's not just one person.
Not just one person, but it do have the other four.
The other four. All right, good. All right, don't fight. We will get them. We will get them.
Yeah.
And let me say one time. No doubt they have some kind of nexus to the PNM. Because that is how they operate. It's an auto coup that they have staged in this country. Utilizing resources and have people compromise their own integrity and that of the organization to promote this despicable, evil, autocratic, devilish,
but what the information is saying is that it's supposed to be a board appointed what's the word I want to use? An independent board or something like that.
Yeah, but
I think that's what the information is saying.
Just as the just as the president, who would of course get the initial okay from the majority that is in the parliament, and then of course they become independent, so the president is independent as well. The Police Service Commission is also independent. The Public Service Commission is independent. And all of the other 4 or 5 institutions that are supposed to be, but they get their initial, should I say, survivability or their credence coming from the political element that would have been in office at the time. And no doubt that they would know exactly why they may not be talking in public, but a telephone call. That is why the president then was able to, of course, to accommodate Rowley and his nonsense and his criminal behavior by, of course, attempting to intercept a very well-established legal process that the president was supposed to pass the shortlist on to Parliament, but instead she sent it back to the chairman of the Police Service Commission, Ms. Bliss C. Prasad, and so, of course, led, of course, to the resignation of the entire commission.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, but I will try and well, this is the information that I have right now.
So far, no problem. All of us working together, we're certainly going to get to the bottom of this. All right?
Yes, sir. All right. Yeah,
yes.
All right.
Thanks very much. Yes, indeed. But I think it's about time, of course, that people, not too far, because I'm sure everybody is convinced now that this man is a consummate liar. So let us, of course, say what he will also say as a liar.
When I went to Houston 2 or 3 months ago with Minister Young on a mission to meet BP, Shell, EOG, and also Exxon, because Exxon is not producing here, but the other 3. BP, our major supplier, Shell, the new big player that bought out BG, and EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And we agreed on a gas price across the board.
Andre, you took a trip to Houston, you broke that point. At that point, you broke the stalemate that existed. There are about 5 more contracts still outstanding. Will you be involved in these negotiations?
Well, no, I don't expect to be. As I was coming down here, I saw a whole page advertisement in the newspapers about me negotiating gas contract. What had happened is that the 2 parties, NGC negotiates gas contracts for this country, the National Gas Company, and in that company you have the experts who do it.
When I went to Houston 2 or 3 months ago with Minister Young on a mission to meet BP, Shell, EOG, and also Exxon, because Exxon is not producing here, but the other 3. BP, our major supplier, Shell, the new big player that bought out BG, and EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. Largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And we agreed on a gas price across the board.
Andre, you took a trip to Houston, you broke that point. At that point, you broke the stalemate that existed. There are about 5 more contracts still outstanding. Will you be involved in these negotiations?
Well, no, I don't expect to be. As I was coming down here, I saw a whole page advertisement in the newspapers about me negotiating gas contract. What had happened is that the 2 parties, NGC negotiates gas contracts for this country, the National Gas Company.
No backlash coming my way. I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome. So when I say something, if I make a mistake, I'll be the first to apologize. But I don't speak loosely. And I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome. No backlash coming my way. I do not speak loosely, and I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the consequences of my actions, whatever they might be, and therefore I don't have to lie to get a better outcome. So when I say something, if I make a mistake, I'll be the first to apologize. But I don't speak loosely. I don't tell lies. I don't tell lies. I am prepared to stand the I don't tell lies. 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 When I went to Houston 2 or 3 months ago with Minister Young on a mission to meet BP, Shell, EOG, and also Exxon, because Exxon is not producing here, but the other three. BP, our major supplier, Shell, the new big player that bought out BG, and EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And we agreed on a gas price across the board. We agreed on a gas price across the board.
Andre, you took a trip to Houston, you broke that point, at that point, you broke the stalemate that existed. There are about 5 more contracts still outstanding. Will you be involved in these negotiations?
Well, no, I don't expect to be. Let me, as I was coming down here, I saw a whole page advertisement in the newspapers about me negotiating gas contract. What had happened is that the two parties, NGC negotiates gas contracts for this country, the National Gas Company. And in that company, you have the experts who do it and their advisors. I do not get involved in the actual price of a negotiation or that's not my job.
When I went to Houston 2 or 3 months ago with Minister Young on a mission to meet BP, Shell, EOG, and also Exxon, because Exxon is not producing here, but the other three. BP, our major supplier, Shell, the new big player that bought out BG, and EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And we agreed on a gas price across the board. We agreed on a gas price across the board.
As the Prime Minister has said on countless occasions, as I have said on countless occasions, as the Minister of Energy has said on countless occasions prior to today, the Prime Minister did not engage in negotiations of gas prices. He did not engage in those discussions in Houston in 2017.
When I went to Houston 2 or 3 months ago with Minister Young on a mission to meet BP, Shell, EOG, and also Exxon, because Exxon is not producing here, but the other three. BP, our major supplier, Shell, the new big player that bought out BG, and EOG, our second largest gas producer. I went to Houston and concluded the negotiations that had been going on. And we agreed on a gas price across the board. And we agreed on a gas price across the board. And we agreed on a gas price across the board. Across the board.
I know that you will accept that from a Prime Minister who always tells you the truth.
When I went to Houston, I don't tell lies. 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 The government is not closing down Petrotrin. The government is not closing down Petrotrin. The government is not closing down Petrotrin. And in case you were just opening your fridge and you didn't hear that when you closed the door, let me repeat it. Let me repeat it. Let me repeat it. The government of Trinidad and Tobago is not closing down Petrotrin.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley maintains the restructuring of Petrotrin was the only move to save this country from having to face the dire consequences of poor decision-making.
In restructuring it, we saved ourselves a downgrade and possibly a huge devaluation of our currency. Because August 2018, the Minister of Finance had to find a check for $850 million US. Had we done what other governments had done, which was to kick the can down the road and not be in a position to service that $850 million US debt, we would have ended up in an IMF program. We would have ended up with a devaluation of the currency, and we would have ended up with a quality of life in this country that we had not anticipated in any small measure.
So again, people, you see the very fertile, criminalistic, phantasmagorical stories that Rowley could manufacture, could concoct. And all of that, because remember, when you hear that as an ordinary person, IMF, you have to find over $800 million. You end up in an IMF program and you have a devaluation of the dollar. All of that, total hogwash to justify the fake oil matter. Let's not waste time. And of course, reinforces, of course, the fact that he lies upon lies upon lies upon lies. He gave us about 4 stories about why he closed down Petrotrin, including, of course, the government. He didn't say it on this occasion here, but the government, of course, going out of the business of refining. We're going to have more to say about that.
IMF works with governments on macroeconomic issues, inflation, growth rates, how to get the money flowing. The IMF loans money to crisis-hit countries to give them breathing room to recover. The IMF loans money to crisis-hit countries to give...
And why am I playing that for you? To let you know that it was impossible for Trinidad and Tobago to go into any IMF program. And that's not waste time. Rowley met there over $10 billion in reserves. And even today, whilst it is about 4 to 5 billion, having burnt up between 6 and 5 billion, half of it, we are still not qualified to go into an IMF program. Barbados, who only had about a month or weeks of import, had to go. And Trinidad and Tobago, when the PNM left the treasury dried in 1986, and Robertson had to go, we had 2 months of import. This man met over 12 months of import. Is over 10 billion, and you notice what he said when he was in opposition, that listen, he accepted that we had $10 billion, but in making the argument to try, of course, to be where he is today, he generated this phantasmagorical lie about somebody couldn't get $15 US in the bank, and another one, $1 million, who were importing what? Importing pharmaceuticals. And that he is a lowly man like you and I, he's an ordinary Joe, and that therefore he would not have been able, if he was sick, to get the drugs or to have a proper medical service provider, courtesy the state, when Kamala Persad-Bissessar was around. But at the same time accepting that there was $10 billion in reserves. And Kamala Day simply said, we don't have a worry, we don't have a problem. But it was a manufactured lie. Listen again, who the IMF assists and how you could get there.
Anticipated in any small measure.
The IMF works with governments on macroeconomic issues, inflation, growth rates, how to get the money flowing. The IMF loans money to crisis-hit countries to give them breathing room to recover. The IMF loans money to crisis-hit countries to give them breathing room to recover.
The IMF's job to oversee a system of fixed exchange rates, which tied the value of a country's currency to the US dollar to encourage global trade. The IMF was also tasked with providing short-term loans to countries struggling to pay their debts. The IMF has taken on a bigger role fighting financial crises around the world.
So we didn't have a problem paying our debts. We didn't have a problem because Rowley told us only this week gone that they renegotiated. They always had that option. Why did they take that option and renegotiate the 800 and something million US? No. It was all about hoodwinking, deceiving, and at the same time get his way with the trade unions. He bust this trade union one time, bust the throat. A man who, of course, risk putting the OWTU in the hands of the PNM and attached to the PNM when Rowley was trying to get into government in 2015. Roger walked the road. They drag, of course, effigy or all kinds of configurations of Kamala. Yeah. And lock hands, and walked. And when he finished with them, he tell Roger, don't threaten him. And he proceeded, of course, not only to mama guy, not only to deceive, as he told them when he was closing it down in that what I consider to be inhospitable and red letter day of evil, when he said that OWTU, if they wanted, could get it, suggesting that somehow we just have a day and it will be for nothing. And when the time came, he said in no uncertain terms, Roger, oilfield workers, trade union members, do not forget, you have a responsibility to advocate. I know that you had a march, I think, recently to the roundabout in Pointe-à-Pierre from your headquarters in San Fernando. But this is no joking time. This is the time for exposure of the PNM, destruction, and Rowley's, of course, anti-Trinidad and Tobago position as Prime Minister. And we are going to, of course, make them pay at the polls, in addition to blue lights and silver bracelets. People, of course, the time now is 26 minutes past of 10 o'clock. We have come to the end. I thought this is a most appropriate time to end. I know, of course, that there are those who wishing that tonight did not come, or that it would have been completed already. No. We have to let the people know what the truth is. And the truth is that Rowley and the PNM are liars, deceivers. Their mendaciousness knows no boundary, and their prevarications are bottomless. And they will continue so to do as they move on, whether it's Mikey, whether it's me, whether it's the ground report, whether it's the corridor transformation, whether it be the observers, whether it be, of course, the workers' rights, whether it be, of course, our other counterparts, but the fact of the matter is that the people must know, and all you have to measure is your own experience, and you will get the answer. There is no need for us to go further, but of course just present, of course, the statistical, the data, and of course the historical facts about the original intent of this government. To get into government incompetent, impotent, and then of course deliver the most devastating, the most pernicious, the most wicked, the most indurate or indurate liars that you could, or lies that you could think of. And we must consider them and say that the election is going to be close. No, no, no. It cannot be. It must not be. It was close between 2015 and now. It was close. That is close. They couldn't make 24 seats in spite of the lies. But it was sufficient to try to emasculate and to accommodate and to control by utilizing, of course, the infiltrational mechanism of the PNM into, of course, institutions that are supposed to be independent, such as the police and the EBC. But they couldn't go past 24 seats. I say to you that we are talking in the next election closer to 40 seats. I say to you, Lavantil and environs, get on board. Get on board. Forget the new coin that they would mint in order to fool you, and don't deliver. Watch out your circumstance. Physical, intellectual, psychological, financial, social, and understand that this is a decision that is only for you to make, knowing full well of the demonstrable evil that has perpetrated and that has mushroomed coming out of Balize House, courtesy Rowley and the PNM. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. See you tomorrow night. But before that, don't forget, of course, the ground report tomorrow morning from 6 to 10 o'clock. Andy, Mikey, and myself. And between 6 and 8, we will be on social media, but from 8 to 10 o'clock, we are on the Guyal Caribbean. Yes, people, we have a rendezvous with destiny. We have a commitment and a dedication. And at the end of the day, we shall rejoice in glory to say evil could never prevail over good. And because we are representative of the good, we would have conquered after the next 2025 general elections with Kamala Prasad Bisesa at the helm and the UNC, people-centered, know what they're about, and equitable in terms of their management of the country's resources. Once again, have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And as we complete with our usual anthem.